and let's have fun. Great. Welcome, everyone. Thank you all for joining us for the second session of the Global XR Conference with a particular focus on Africa. And yeah, yeah, thank you. So we're sharing with you guys a particular use case for which is basically XR for education and social impact. And I have with me here some amazing change makers doing awesome stuff with XR on the continent. We'll start off with a couple of introductions from Mohammed. So could you please introduce yourself?
Okay, thank you, and I'm glad to be here with you and with all the participants. So my name is Mohamed. I'm from Senegal, based in France actually, and I've been working on XR since 2019 now, 18, 19. And actually, presently, I'm working as a business technology consultant at Capgemini in Paris. So nice to meet you all, guys.
Nice to meet you, man. Thank you for joining us. Next up is Samia. Could you please introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you. I am very glad to be with you today. I am Samia Shelby from Tunisia. I am a university teacher in software engineering. I founded 3D Info since 1999, the first school of 3D in French-speaking Africa. We impacted more than 15 countries. And since this date, I am living an adventure that is based on a passion, but also on a conviction. Conviction because, we have good talents, and with 3D and with the digital creation, almost now with the metaverse, we have a lot of opportunity to put on the hand of our talents. So I am managing, actually, we are working closer to leaders, international leaders. We are academic partners of Epic Games. And also we are in the emerging chapter according the deep learning of NVIDIA, and we are academic partner of Autodesk. And we try to make a lobby with those to bring free training, okay, for the African community. And actually, I am managing the African Metaverse Academy in 19 African countries, French-speaking and English-speaking, and all this, it's for free, and we are learning a lot from this community. And we are working with this community to be in parallel, in the same time. We are surfing in the same wave with the world, actually. The African and the world, we are surfing. And this is really my pleasure. And I am very, very glad to be in this community. And I am learning a lot from this community. So what I am doing, I am learning from the community. I am here to be in the service of talents, of African talents.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us. You have some amazing insights and history to share. We can't wait to get started. Next up is my amazing brother doing awesome stuff with XR. Kunle, could you please introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, my name is Kunle Adewale, and I'm a multimedia artist based in Lagos, Nigeria. Primarily, I'm a visual artist, and I started exploring. The first time I explored the virtual reality was, I think, about 5-6 years ago, when we wanted to do a program with displaced people. Children were displaced by terror attack in Nigeria. And so we made use of these Google cartoon. That was, at that time, that's what they were making use of. And then I didn't know it was going to become more sophisticated. Later on, then, recently, I think earlier this year, I started exploring more of the virtual reality to give a meaningful experience to children in the hospital, to elderly people in the care homes. So my work primarily is based on using the XR for social development and health purpose, using it as a form of therapy, not gaming, not entertainment, but more therapeutic based. I'm going to be explaining more. I think based on the question, I'll be able to expand more on how we use the XR for development and also for health and therapeutic purpose as well. Nice meeting all of you here. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you so much. Next up is Gospel. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, can you all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Awesome. Sorry, it's raining crazily where I am right now, and the network is really shaky. But again, I'm sorry. That's nature. So my name is Gospel Onowi, and of course, I'm from Nigeria. I am into AR/VR develop. Sorry, I am an AR/VR developer. I build products. I train people, and of course, I advocate for the technology. Um, I have taught people in Saudi Arabia, in Saudi Digital Academy, through a company called Coding Dojo, and that was 2021 last year. And I also taught this year in Dubai in a university, right, on AR/VR technology. And what we actually do is that we bring people within within the African. Hello.
We can hear you. We can hear you. Gospel.
Hello.
We can hear you. Continue.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. We can.
All right. Sorry, I couldn't really connect. So that is what I do. I train people, and of course also create awareness around this technology. And we do that through a community of mine that I formed called Extend Africa, where I related more with when Samia was talking about the great work that we're actually doing in Africa, and because we actually had a cohort where VR technology, not just in Africa. We had people within Pakistan, India, Rwanda, Uganda come together to learn totally for free. And that is just the few things that I'm actually doing right here in Nigeria. Nice, indeed, nice to meet you all.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us. So basically, this session is about sharing some key concepts and insights on XR for education, which is very important, and also for social impact, which some of you guys are currently doing so far. So to get started, actually, we'll start with Kunle, who would basically share with us his story on how he got started with XR, and also his initiative called Arts in Medicine Fellowship. So what's the story behind your initiative, and also how you got started with XR?
Thank you so much for that brilliant introduction. And yeah, primarily, like I said, I'm a founder of the Art in Medicine Project, a program that utilizes therapeutic engagement to support different populations, including children, women, mostly in hospices, healthcare center, hospital, and children from low-income communities in Nigeria. Over time, I started the Art in Medicine Project way back in 2016, thinking about how can we use art in a different way, right? So we do music session in the hospital, we do music concert in the hospital. I mean, like, I've been out of Nigeria severally, and then I've seen how care is being given to people that are sick in the hospital. I see how they bring in alternative form of therapy to people, right? So, but coming back home, I realized there's a gap, right? There's this knowledge gap, there's this engagement gap that I feel like, okay, how can we create our own? How can we do what can really benefit our own people, right, in Africa? And then that is how I started, like, introducing therapeutic engagement into pediatric oncology for children that have cancer, even for women that have cancer, for those with sickle cell anemia, for those that have been displaced by terror attack in Nigeria. And that these are the things that I've been doing, using all of these elements for mental health and brain health. And I just realized this is a road less traveled by many professionals. So many professionals are doing many works in other areas. But when you look at the area of using in the intersection of art and technology for humanity or humanitarian purpose, that is a gap that is missing. So, and then so in order to bridge that gap, so I started now exploring the use of the virtual reality for these population. Over time, we realized that, I mean, you will agree with me, many of us say we agree with me that the XR engagement has been more of the youth thing. I mean, the youth, more like the young people, young population. And then we hardly think about even for the older population, those living with cognitive impairment, those living with dementia, those living with Alzheimer's disease, those living with stroke. We're not thinking about this dimension of engagement that can really bring a huge transformation and tangible, profound impact into our community. We hardly look at that area. So for me, that is the area I'm focusing on, and using all of these where we provide music engagement, a music experience, how elderly people can now like relive the memory of their younger years, right? I mean, many of them probably who have traveled out of the country before can probably revisit the town that they visited maybe like 30 years ago, right? Some of them probably that have been out of the town where they were born, and now they're in the city rather than be in the rural area where they were born. Now they can actually travel back using the virtual reality. So using all of these elements as a form of tourism, but in a way it's therapeutic because it's help to relieve the memories, the beautiful memories they've had. You get to hear all of the conversation around the people these people grew up knowing, in terms of maybe heroes in the sports, like some of them started running commentaries using the virtual reality. You'll be shocked. I'm talking about somebody who's 80 years old, through the virtual reality is running a sports commentary. Can you beat that? Can you beat that? How can we make life more interesting for the aging population? Because often that we look at, oh, they are very old, they will die, so we don't think about them. So let's think about people who still have the energy, who still have the power, who still have the passion, who still have the enthusiasm. But we realize, we don't know that the use of XR can really help to improve even the cognitive functions and the brain as well for the aging population. Think about children that have actually been in the hospital space, who are supposed to be in the school, but now they are in the hospital space. That means that they are cut out of activities that can really be of benefit to them. They are cut out of engagements that can really bring so much joy to their lives. So you go to the hospital, it's so isolated for them. You realize that some of them, they are so bored. But now using virtual reality, using the XR is like a means of escape from the worries within the hospital rooms, right? So the technology, we're using technology to provide an escape from the hospital room for the children who are actually sick. And then, like, imagine a child that's been on hospital admission for about 5 weeks or over 2 months. Try to imagine what life is. Even as a young person, think about during the lockdown, what life was for all of us during the lockdown. Most of us actually were going to run crazy, we're going to run mad, we're going to like become crazy because we're supposed to move around, right? But we're just trapped because of the lockdown, because of the pandemic. So we are using the XR engagement to provide a means of escape. I mean, for children who are supposed to be in school, but they're in the hospital room, but now they can also be able to, they can still enjoy what their classmates are enjoying, but now using the assets, even though they are not in a physical classroom, but they are now in the virtual reality, in the virtual world, exploring cities, exploring communities around the world. And then these are part of the things that we do as well. So we work with different populations, from elderly people that have strokes, for children that have cancer. I mean, imagine childhood cancer is incurable, right? And then imagine knowing fully well that a child is going to die eventually, but helping them to have beautiful memories before they die, towards the end of life. Think about palliative care and immersive technology, right? Think about how that can really help people, even though they are going to die, but they can transition from this part of the world, into the world beyond gracefully, right? These are part of the things that we're exploring. I don't know, maybe I can continue to talk, maybe I need to
I understand how passionate you are about what you're doing, right? Even if we had this session for 5 hours, I know you'll be able to do that very well, right? But let's try and keep to time so we can also basically attend to more questions. So thank you so much, Kune, for sharing that amazing. I know you are passionate, no doubt about that, right? I know that. So next up is Samia. So I remember you talking about launching an initiative in 1999. I know back then I was still in primary school or so, right? So my question is, why do you do what you do currently, and what got you started as a social innovator?
Yes, thank you, and thank you for these questions. Yes. Why I am your question, that means I started with as entrepreneur I started the school. I founded the school, and actually I don't have a responsibility on the school. I dedicated all my academic research to the social impact and to the social work. Why? Because when we are African innovator, that means when we invest as entrepreneur and when we have a conviction in our ecosystem, in Africa, Tunisia or other is the same. Okay, we don't have funds, we don't have an ecosystem, stakeholders, okay, government who believes in this kind of industry. They didn't see that this industry and this kind of sectors can bring a lot of richness for our continent. Okay, for this reason, when we are passionate and we are convinced, we try to find solution how we can go and how we can continue in our process in innovation. For this reason, I created, and I have been inspired also from the case study from the North also. Okay, I learned a lot from the European country, from Canada, from Quebec, so I try to bring, and I understand that to make this innovation and to make sustainable your project, you should develop with the whole ecosystem. We should try to go and do co-constructs with the ecosystem. That means you should make social impact and social work. For this reason, I created the Tunisian Association of Creative Technology and started to make I launched the first festival of 3D, and I bring all studios, public sectors, students, freelancers, put them together, and we deliver workshop for free. This is in 2004. Okay, in 2004, yes, we bring all. And when for the first edition of the festival, I said myself, yes, we will do it for free. Maybe it will be a waste of our time, but not when we organize this kind, when we work in the social and we go to the others, we learn a lot. And this is, I consider it's the main factor that let NetInfo exist until today. Okay, and after this is because being between the private school, and I am university teacher and the public also at the university, because I want to leave this challenge public private. I don't want to leave it on the papers. Just I want really in the reality to leave it and to leave those challenges and how to find solution. Okay, and to make this happen and to create this synergy between those two sectors. And in 2015, I said myself, I can't do the social work like this. I should find another concept. And I launched the unique African Living Lab certified by European Network of Living Labs. I created a platform. This platform is to manage, okay, to bring all actors, okay, and to manage 4P projects around the XR, around the 3D real time, around the 3D, and around production, creative content production. Okay, and in the same platform, okay, we try to link talents, okay, public actors, decision makers, studios, experts, and to start from a problematic. If we will take the XR or the virtual reality, augmented reality, immersive reality, and what kind of use case of what kind of and we try to let them live an experience for production, and they will learn from this kind of system, okay, to create a prototype. So we impacted the health care sectors. We produced a prototype for autism, okay, with augmented and virtual reality. Sorry. We worked on the culture heritage also to highlight the benefit and the tourism, culture and tourism. Okay, this is the second. But also we try to impact the industry. We try to impact the industry and to go to the industry and to bring partners and to let engineer, technical talents to work directly on real problematic, because we try to catch the problematic and to find a solution, okay, using the XR and those technology. And what is our main objective? Okay, it's that to highlight those talents and to tell to our ecosystem to make happen and to let them find a job, launch their startup, okay, and make the social and economic impact to make business. Because we know well we don't have funds, but we should be our own investors. That means we should have a process to generate funds. And with this model, we are actually trying to have a good talents, but we have good partners, good investors that believe, okay, supported by by leaders in tech like Epic Games, Autodesk, who are supporters, okay, to go ahead and not to deliver this just in Tunisia, but to deliver this in all Africa. And this is really a model that we try to export to other countries in Africa. So the technology XR, whatever the technology, XR, augmented reality, gaming, whatever the technology, we should in Africa make the impact to find the jobs for those talents, to create the richness and to generate, to do business, to do business and to make sustainable the business. This is what we try. It's not just an education or to tell them, we will train you for to learn well how we can produce a project using VR or AR. Not. We want that you will succeed this because there is a market. Because there is a market, and we can succeed. We can go to the market.
Thank you so much. That's a very elaborate one, more like a historical point of view to where we are currently. And I really appreciate the work you're doing. Right, it's championing change in a region that doesn't really accept change per se. So thank you so much, Mohamed. Moving on to you. So for you, I'll just give you your two questions straight away. Right, the first one is, what got you inspired to go basically into XR? And I know you are part of an amazing group in Senegal that is doing awesome stuff with XR for education, right? So if you can just, first of all, tell us what inspired you to get started with XR, right? And also, what are your predictions on some of the key sectors in Africa that can really be impacted by the technology?
Okay. I will try to go really fast because I know that I'm one of the less experienced person here, so I'm going to be fast. So personally, the first time that I tested a VR headset was in 2018, when Facebook decided to showcase the first demo of Oculus in Station F, the biggest campus in the world incubator. And it was 4 years after the acquisition of Oculus, if you remember. And at this time, I was with my cousin doing an internship, my first international internship there. And by going outside, so I was going home, I saw the VR headset, and I have the opportunity to test it. So in 2018, no buzzword. We didn't have the word metaverse, but Facebook was already showing some experiments, some researches about how to change social interaction between peoples over social media. So it was the goal. And when I come back to Senegal, I was in a tech forum. Went to a tech forum and I met Abdou Diop, which is one of the founders of OnLabs, and he explained me the project. And at the same time, I had the opportunity to go into one of the biggest fintech in Senegal, but I declined it and go with Abdulhad in his adventure and joined the team. And since 2019, we are working together. So to finish my adventure there, the adventure began there. So with the first test, with the joining of OnLabs, the creation of the company, Venturi, which is the owner now of OnLabs, and all the new skills acquired, market understanding. I had the opportunity to do immersive realities to meet new persons in this field, learned a lot from them, including you. And I also had the chance to meet some small and big companies working on this field also, in Africa and also in France, in other countries. So I take the time to know how to position myself into this ecosystem and try to bring some added value. And just one event that we have done, one small thing for a moment. This year we created the XR community Africa, so launched the first one in Senegal. So we have a small community doing some job in immersive realities, and for the moment we just have done one workshop on virtual reality, trying to show to people outside the field how it's work and what are the use cases that we can do with it. So for the second question, I will have 2 point of view. So because I will explain why. Two things. I will not focus my speech on metaverse. Why? Because it can be a priority for some people and not for other people. I will explain myself. If you take metaverse as a technology that will mix a lot of technologies, so blockchain, XR, machine learning, etc., you can have the certitude that we are not there. Like in Africa, we are not there. Before going into the metaverse, we will have to train people, as Samia said, train people in 3D, train people in blockchain, train people in immersive realities and all the technologies before going to the big one. It's not meaning that we don't have to go into the metaverse now. We just have to go into it with a structured process. So we are sovereign about our technologies, and we can develop ourselves some contents and infrastructure about the metaverse. So I think that it's the only key that we can. It's the only way that we can use. Maybe we have others, but it's the way I'm saying actually to construct a good metaverse footprint of Africa in it. So for the use cases, I will take 2 positions. The first one is as an African who thinks that we know pretty well the context in Africa, and in which area we have to be focused. And I will take two areas. So the first one is education and professional training. That should be the first development axis on which we have to focus if we want to leverage the maximum of the technology that we have. Two reasons why. We have a lot of young people going into scientific subjects without any practice. And we have a lot of others choosing other path because they don't have the chance to practice. So using immersive realities will be a real solution to give them access to the materials by using virtual assets and environments. And on technical subjects, for example, for people doing manual jobs, it will help them to have the infrastructure necessary to do their training without having heavy infrastructures or having to go to another country or doing the logistic of bringing some materials. On the other side,
I think some network issues. Mohammed, can you hear us? Okay. So I guess we'll wait for him to come back. Moving on to Gospel. Can you share with us your story on how you got started with XR and also about your initiative Extend Africa, which is passionate about training the next generation of XR creatives on the continent? You're muted. You are muted. Gospel, you're muted. Yeah. Great.
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Awesome, thank you. So I got into the XR space in 2019. I am from a state in Nigeria called Rivers State, and there is this nice hub that they had called Tech Creek, Rivers State ICT actually. And in that hub, I was an instructor for 2 years, and people come in there. Of course, I was teaching app development, MIT App Inventor. I don't know if maybe you've heard about it. So I was teaching that to kids late 2018, 2019. And I knew there was so much out there to do. And I told myself I wanted to be different. In Nigeria, we have a whole lot of web developers. We have a whole lot of UI UX designers. I didn't want to fall into any of those categories. So I said, you know what, I want to carve a niche for myself. I want to be different. So one of those days I went into YouTube, I did my research, and I stumbled on augmented reality and virtual reality technology. And that was how I picked interest in it. And I learned so fast because I had a product, an idea. Mohammed talked about one of the use cases in the XR space, which is in the educational sector. So I had an idea to build a product in the educational sector because our educational system is nothing to write home about. So I took the pains to learn everything I could learn in learn about augmented reality and virtual reality technology. Then that was 2019. Of course, 2020 was the year of the pandemics. I like calling it that, the year of the pandemics. Then late 2021, there was a hackathon, and I was, for the first time in my life, I was hackathon winner where we beat 10 African countries, so much the overall winner. Then 2021, I thought I gave this piece of intro when I was talking. I taught in Saudi Digital Academy in Saudi Arabia on AR/VR technology on the contract base in 2022. So this is how the growth has been over the years. Then in 2022, I was awarded as the best or the most influential AR/VR developer in my state. And in that same event, I of course I gave a presentation on augmented reality and virtual reality technology. And people that were in that event were in awe about what this technology can do in businesses and in every other sectors. And and people kept on coming to me every day. They say, you know what, I want you to be my mentor. I want you to walk me through this. And coming from the background, knowing fully well, knowing what I went through back in those days, learning the technology, I knew it was a very difficult process. And I knew you can't really do that to just one person. So, the energy you use for one person, you can use for perhaps 100. So an idea came, we had a brainwave, and we say, you know what, why can't we set up a cohort? And yeah, so we put a cohort together, we organized a cohort, and we had people from Pakistan, India, Rwanda, a whole lot of African countries, applied to learn. And in the next 6 weeks, we trained them from the rudimentary stage down to the intermediate level, where they were able to build themselves a virtual museum, an amazing project. These guys, I have videos to show for it. They built themselves an amazing project, and it was nice, and the testimonies there was awesome. So this has been the growth on how I moved from late 2019 down to 2022, the growth from winning my first hackathon to teaching in Saudi Arabia, to also teaching in Dubai, to also training people completely for free. I forgot to mention that it was completely for free. We trained them for 6 weeks, and it was awesome. Now, the next question, please remind me again the next question.
Yeah, the next question is about your initiative, Extend Africa, and what you guys are planning on doing to build like the next generation of content creators.
All right, thank you. So okay. Yeah, I did. Thank you. So okay, I'm going to take us back to still 2019. The idea for Extend Africa, which is my community, came up in 2020, and we, like we said, Africa is a late adopter of technology. We don't learn technology on time. We perhaps in the next 10 years, that's when we start learning the technology we ought to learn. So we said we need to create awareness around this technology. That was how Extend Africa was formed. So in 2021, we had our maiden conference where we had speakers speak on different technologies, different topics around real estate education, what you can use the XR technology to do. So yeah, so that was how the community, that was how we put things together, and we introduced the experience, we introduced the technology to people. And of course, we had Arome was also part of the speakers in that event, and where he talked about, I think, virtual tour and 360 and virtual tour and everything about it. And it was awesome. And we had in attendance, we had more than 300 in attendance, physically in attendance. Then people that attended virtually were way off the roof. And so fast forward to 2021, like I said in my previous, as I said earlier on, we set up a cohort because we wanted to train people. We wanted people to understand the technology. We wanted people to come into this aspect, because to me, I didn't want people around me and Africans to be late adopters of technology. I wanted people to know about this technology, to be part of the people that will to be the change masters, change makers in the technology. So we put that together and we train people, and that is what we did. And another way which we are also impacting the life of people is we have a community on Discord, where we also serve as mentors to people that want to learn. And people come in every day to ask questions to, okay, how do we get this done? How do we get that done? And we put them through. So that is what we are actually doing in Extend Africa. We are training people. We are showcasing the works of AR/VR creators in Africa to the world. And when we are not training, we are holding monthly meetups where we get people like Arome and others to talk about what they're doing, African creators. In fact, that is actually the main purpose of Extend Africa, to showcase the XR African creators to the world. So we do that monthly when we are not training, when we are not training, we are actually meeting up with people, having discussions around technologies and all those. And of course, we want to have another cohort.
Yes.
We want to have another cohort coming up before the year is over, and we are making preparation for that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I guess everybody on this is so passionate about this tech, right? And it's really enlightening about that. But I'll allow Mohammed to finish his own thoughts about some key sectors on the continent that will benefit the most from XR. Then we'll switch to Kunle to tell us his story and his initiative using XR for therapy.
Yeah, I will go fast. I was saying that the first domain is education, using VR for education. And on the second side, you have to train the people that are able to create these experiments and solutions for XR. We are not obliged to buy solutions from other countries. We can collaborate with other countries, other companies in order to do it, but we have to keep our sovereignty and to be able to construct all these things by ourselves. The second domain as a young African also is health. Without health, you can develop anything. Without health, you can have you can have talents. So they have to be on top if they want to produce something that is good. And on the other side, when I'm talking about health, it's about creating, for example, recreating a real life situation but in VR, for example, for a laboratory. So you can take the example of handling a crisis situation for medical agent and learn them how to take how to handle this type of situation if it's arrived. It can also be training peoples in university on health subject, but it is included to education. And the third one and final one, as a business technology consultant, this time not as an African who know the context, but the entertainment and gaming. Because since long time, entertainment and gaming is the real sector in which you can have like real money. You have the monetary value when you invest in it. And I think that we are obliged to go into this way on the top 3 priority because we need cash to develop this sector. People around here know how it's cost to develop a solution in immersive realities, so we have to make this cash and after inject it to the ecosystem.
I totally agree with you. Education is very important. Healthcare, especially training, is also very important, which Kunle will share more insight on that.
Yeah.
And also media and entertainment, or also gaming, it's a sector I feel will be impacted the most if XR is fused into it. So Kunle, my question for you is, so anytime I see your post on LinkedIn, right, engaging the seniors with VR or XR per se, I'm always happy because a thought crossed my mind as if my grandparents in the village are also wearing a VR headset and having fun with it, right? So my question basically is, what has been the impact so far with your initiative adopting XR, right, to support seniors in basically helping them to relive experiences that they had during their youths? I think you're mute.
I think he freezed.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Can you? Yeah, first and foremost, let me acknowledge Samia, Gospel, and Mohammed for the inspirational work that they're doing. I mean, you guys are truly, truly inspirational. I'm just an amateur, and but then I just have a few things that I'm doing on this side, anyways. For me, the core of what we do is equity. Equity is very, very important. So when you think about equity, what comes to your mind? Think about access. Access to what? For who? Right. Think about the aging population. I spoke earlier on about technology being thing of young people, right? And then we feel like, oh, the oldies can't really benefit from technology. Says who? Right. And then so in 2021, the United Nations theme for the International Day of Older Person, which is celebrated on every October 1st, was digital access or digital equity for all seniors. What that means is that now seniors should be able to have access to technology, right? Regardless of their race, regardless of their tribe, regardless of their gender, is that now the seniors can have access to technology. What does that mean for people in metaverse? What does that mean for people like Mohammed, for someone like Samia, for someone like Gospel? What does that mean? Right? For me, what it means is now thinking about how do we take technology to the aging population? How do we take technology to old people? How can they benefit from it? Somebody was asking, when you give them the asset, they don't scream, they don't shout. So I told them that we're very intentional about the experience that elderly people have with virtual reality. Number one, you have to think about their mobility. Also, sometimes the XR can make you dizzy. So it depends on what experience you're actually giving them. So we will leverage existing content. We leverage existing content that is beneficial for their health. Like some of them want to connect to their favorite musicians, right? So there was this particular DJ, the first DJ in Nigeria, actually, who is now in one of the care homes, right? I mean, it's close to his 80s now, but he has because of health reasons, he's now in a care home. He's now being isolated, right? But then while we were engaging him, we were asking him, what would you like to experience? Oh, he said, I would love to see Ray Charles. Now, I don't know who Ray Charles was, but Ray Charles, of course, was a music legend, right? I don't know who Ray Charles was. And then so what we did was we went into the headset, we went to the YouTube VR, and then we typed Ray Charles, and then we saw Ray Charles, right? And then we wore the headset for him, and then he started having an experience. He was singing, he was tapping his fingers. It was like he was watching Ray Charles live, even though he was in this care home. And then he spoke about the fact that this gave him an experience he can never forget. How do we give elderly people an unforgettable experience? How can we give them moments that they can cherish forever in their lives? Knowing fully well that everybody on this call today, you will grow old, you will have gray hair, right? Sure. When you grow old, what experience do you want to have with technology? So let's think about that. I mean, for like Arome spoke about, I mean, having maybe his grandma or his grandpa in the village is wearing the headset. Imagine that now yourself and your grandparents, you're talking using the headset. So think about the that the VR brings or the XR brings. So for us so far, we're using the XR to promote social engagement in the care homes. Some of these, when you go to some of these care homes, they are very, very quiet. I mean, so you see the elderly people, they just sit there, they're just watching TV, and it's very quiet. Sometimes it feels like a prison, and then you see element of loneliness, you see element of depression. So through the XR, we're bringing joy and happiness into the homes. We're bringing social engagement. We're bringing interaction. We're bringing memories. We're bringing conversation. You see elderly people, like I said earlier on, imagine somebody who is 80 plus running sports commentary using the XR. I've never seen anything like that. So the possibility is limitless. We have not been able to fully explore the health purpose, the health benefit of the XR within the aging population, especially for those older adults who have cognitive impairment, for those who have dementia. For those that have dementia, the XR is helping them to reconnect them back to the memory of people, they grew up knowing, memories of music. I remember that my stepmom had stroke, and then from there, she had memory loss, and then she could no longer recognize us. Right. The only thing she could remember was the music that we sang, during our morning devotion as Christian and all of that. So now she's late. My mom is late. So one of the things I do now is what I couldn't do for my parents, I'm doing for the seniors in Nigeria. I'm doing for the elderly people in Nigeria, building relationships. So having this intergenerational connection between the younger generation and the older generation using technology as a bridge, connecting, bringing the two together. For us, it's just very powerful. It's just very fascinating to see how the aging population are dancing and moving their body. Think about physical fitness. Think about mental health. Think about brain health. There's so much that the XR is giving to this aging population. I remember one of the sessions we had recently where some of them said they would like to travel to Saudi Arabia. They want to go to Mecca. It was during the festive period of the Muslim. And then so they wore the essence, they traveled to Mecca. And then they were there, they were praying. using the headset. These were elderly people. Literally, they were wearing the headset. That was very transformational. Like now, even though some of these people, they don't have the financial power or means to travel to Saudi Arabia, but then through the virtual reality, now they can travel, right?
That's true.
And one of the interesting things about the virtual reality that what we're doing now is that, you agree with me that the cost of headset is very expensive. Is who can afford it? It's very, very expensive to buy headset. The Oculus 2 now, or the Oculus Pro, right, which is 1,500, right? One of the things we try to do is now we do it for free for these people, right? Because some of them can't afford it. They can't afford it. But now, if you can't travel, you don't have to go and queue at the embassy. You don't have to have visa delay or visa denial. Just wear the headset and travel, right? So travel anywhere in the world using the headset. That for them is just so. For some of them that really have a desire to travel to somewhere they've never been to before. Some of them want to travel to the UK, travel to London, travel to partly European countries, go to Dubai using the headset. Not everybody would travel, but the technology is helping elderly people to travel, regardless of their economic disadvantage. So think about people from low-income families, think about people from low-income communities, think about the poorest of the poorest. Because no matter what we do, we must think about, at the center of what we do is humanity. I mean, I hear what Mohammed said about I don't know whether it's Mohammed or it was Gospel that was talking about the entrepreneurship angle. It was Mohammed, actually. Like, you have to think about how to think about the business aspect of what you do, which is very cool, right? But you realize that not everybody will be able to afford the use of immersive technology. You must establish that. Then if you think about the core, which is like humanity, we must ensure that there is equity. I mean, not those who have the money, also people who do not have the money should be able to experience in their lifetime, at least in their lifetime, let them experience the immersive technology. I can keep talking and talking and talking, but then changes with improvement in the memory of people with dementia. Actually, we've seen a lot of even for young people and older adults that are living with sickle cell anemia. Like I said earlier, we also work with those living with chronic illnesses like cancer and sickle cell anemia. Nigeria has the highest number of people with sickle cell in the world. Nigeria has the highest number of persons living with sickle cell in the world. What does that mean? So there's so much stigma around living with sickle cell anemia that people are being told what they can't do because they have sickle cell anemia, right? So you see that people are being withdrawn, people are being isolated because they have this genetic disorder. But what we're simply doing now is using the virtual reality to help promote social engagement, give them access that you can explore, you can engage, you can connect, and there's some of them, they're able to experience mindfulness using the virtual reality. They're able to travel, they're able to dance, they're able to play games, at the National Sickle Cell Center in Nigeria. So beyond going to the mall, beyond going to, corporate spaces, thinking about spaces that people will hardly go to, like the hospital space. Use of XR for health is fundamental, is more than important. Anybody can go to school, but not everybody goes to the hospital, because nobody wants to go to the hospital, because when you get there, you'll be depressed. When you go to the hospital space, you become sick, even though you're not sick.
I think we are losing you, Kunle. Your network
but then thinking about thinking about technology to improve the health outcome of people within the hospital space, healthcare center, and hospices is more than ever before needed. Thank you so much.
I really appreciate it. That's a very good, very good top up to your questions. So I'm basically out of time, but I have just a quick question for every one of you, right? I know we have a tight schedule, but I really want to have this question answered by each and every one of you here. What do you think is the future for XR in Africa? Like, what are your predictions for the future of XR? Just a quick sentence, the predictions for you or your own perception on the future of XR in Africa. Still starting up with Mohammed.
Okay. So the future of XR in Africa, I will not take it on a sector angle, so I will not talk about education, health, etc. I think that the future of Africa is that we will have a lot of brain talents that are going to create new solutions, not copied on that what the others are doing, but real African solutions which respond to the African means, which responds to the African needs. And the way I'm saying that is not because I'm African or something else. I'm seeing on this new generation like a passion for technology, and they are not they don't have problem to go to the other people to ask some help, to ask some courses. They are not staying on their side and trying to learn. They are going into communities, they are going into workshops, they are going into trainings. And I think that's the beginning of a big area, because if you want to create something concrete, you have to form yourselves, you have to train yourself, you have to be trained, and you have to be mentored by other people. That it's the three factors that I'm seeing in the field actually.
Great. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate your insights, and especially in the area of training, in the area of mentorship and support for these creatives and enthusiasts that want to get started with the tech. So for me, I believe the future is indeed bright. Samia, could you give us your predictions on the future of XR in Africa?
Yes. Thank you for you all guys. You inspired me a lot. I learned a lot. Thank you for this session. Yes, I have I am totally agree with Mohammed. In the future, the talents are really the main important. There is an opportunity for Africa to invest in their talents in this field. And the second thing, that the cultural heritage, to tell the African story and to go abroad and to invest in really with this kind of technology to spread our story in the world. And this is an opportunity for Africa also.
Thank you so much. I love your point on our culture, in our story the right way, by ourselves, and not what you find on the internet. And I believe the technology can really help us do that. Kunle, your thoughts on the prediction of XR in Africa?
My prediction of XR in Africa is a revolution and also restoration as well, and reconnection. I believe very strongly. As we age, like I said, we get to mix many things out of the ways because of live activities, but I believe that the use of XR will help to restore health to people who actually have one health condition or the other. In terms of revolution, is that things will be different from what it used to be in terms of connection, communication, engagement, education, and all of that. Is going to bring revolution. Someone is already thinking about having a virtual reality university where you don't have to go to a physical space. Now people can be in their room and be in school using the headset, right? So I believe very strongly that with the likes of Samia, and Gospel, and Mohammed, and yourself, and other exceptional people out there, that the future of Africa is bright using XR. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And I must say what you're doing is really unique, like thinking out of the box. You're not targeting those that have the energy to engage with it, but those that really want to relive some memories that they will cherish, right? And I really appreciate what you're doing, and I pray that you get as much support as you can in terms of resources, hardware, to reach as much seniors as you can, and just tell them how amazing XR is and how they can experience some of the ideas that they could not relive, or some of the experiences they had during their lifetime. Gospel, your thoughts?
All right, thank you. So, I agree with what everyone has said so far, but more so, I see lots of talent springing up day by day. I see people, having interest in the XR technology, especially in the gaming industry. I'm actually in a place where I have seen some people like they're coming up with these ideas of building products around the XR technology, games and everything. And it's so exciting to know that youngsters are coming up and are getting involved every day. And in fact, the future is really bright for us here in Africa. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so much, Gospel. As long as you guys are still in the game, the future is indeed bright for a lot of creatives, a lot of developers, and those that want to really get started with this tech. And for me, XR is not just about gaming. It's about using the tool to impact key sectors like education and also make social impact in unique areas like giving experiences to some of our seniors, that have never experienced it before. And I really want to say thank you so much for being a part of this. Thank you for sharing your journey, your experiences, and just keep pushing and doing what you do. And see you all in the coming years or in the coming months. And thank you all for joining us. Our next session is loading up. It will be basically about XR for media, gaming, NFTs, and also marketing, right? So we have some amazing panelists that will be sharing their experiences using the technology to create solutions for businesses and also make impact on the continent. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Hello. We're about to get started. Just waiting on our speakers to join us. Joshua is here. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Doing great, thank you.
Great, thank you for joining us. We'll start shortly. I'm just waiting on Onyinye, Jacob, and the rest. So just give us a few more minutes, everyone. Hi. So hello everyone. Great. I think our speakers or our panelists are running a bit late, but I have Joshua here. We'll just get it started, and maybe they will join us as we move forward. So thank you all for joining us for the last leg of the African XR session at the Global XR Conference. I'm glad to be doing this for the second year, showcasing some amazing content developers, creatives, startup founders that are doing amazing work with XR on the continent. So this session basically is for the topic XR for media, gaming, marketing, and NFTs. And our panelists will be sharing their insights, projects, and also some of their experiences building with XR, especially for these key sectors. And I have with me here Joshua Ajayi. So he's an amazing guy doing awesome stuff in the gaming space on the continent and also across the world, right? So I'll allow Joshua to introduce himself, and then we'll kick it up on there.
Do you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. Thank you so much, Arame. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here speaking at the Global XR conference this year. And my name is Joshua Ajayi, and I'm an AR/VR developer, or XR as you would call it. Also a game developer. I got into this space back in 2016. That's over 6 years now. For me, I've always had a passion for gaming. I've always had a passion for digital, interactions. Basically, I'm a huge fan of interactive digital media. Back in 2016, when I was in the university. I schooled at the Federal University of Technology, Akure. And of course, even though it was a University of Tech, I felt like the my full creative expression, was not really aligning with, the courses that are being taught in school. So I mean, that was my entry point into games. So I branched out. I at that point, I discovered Unity software. The first thing I did straight away was to look for a mentor, someone who could, just put me through the basics of what gaming entails, of what developing, products, game products, and all of that stuff. I think at that time, AR VR was not yet something that was a point for discussion. Of course, even though it existed, but it wasn't something that was mainstream at the time. So I got the Unity software, and it was like, I think at that time it was Unity version 4. It was, there were so little resources, online. And to be quite honest, at that point it was quite discouraging, getting into games, because there are only like a very few people, in that space at the time. And it was sort of a passion endeavor for me, getting into that space. And then right away I knew I wanted to do this. So it's just that particular point where you have hit you have hit something that really resonates with you, basically. So at that point I decided to go into game development right away. And then I remember working on a project which was like a multiplayer car racing game, and I was able to create artificial intelligence, inside of the game, with like the AI opponents, which was like um, you know, of course, it's a car racing game. So like what I did was I put in my classmates as as the AIs. I put in their names there, and then I remember showing it to people, and they were like so excited, like wow, like a lot of people did not actually feel like game developers could exist in Africa. A lot of people saw game development as something that was like something for like first world countries, people that, of course. I mean, it was quite interesting because at the time there were not a lot of people. So I think I moved, down the line. I moved into AR VR. Before then, I think one of the main things that actually encouraged me, because like I said at that time, it was quite discouraging, seeing that there are not a lot of people in the space you can talk to and get, insights from. So one of the things that really encouraged me was a Microsoft initiative with Tech for Dev in Nigeria, which basically was called, I think it was called Women Tech Stars at the time. And Women Tech Stars was an initiative that, that was backed by Microsoft in Nigeria to educate women on games development, and other technology stack. And that I was, at the time it was not so easy to find people, in the games industry. So I'm really appreciative of the fact that they launched that initiative, because I was the one of the instructors, teaching. It was a fun project for me, teaching people how to make games. And at that point, I also realized that I have a passion for, imparting knowledge, into people, and that was it for me. So afterwards, I moved into AR VR. A little backstory there, but I know of course I know we'll still get to that later in the talk. Yeah. So I moved into AR VR afterwards. I got into like developing products, as a freelancer for people, not just in Nigeria but also outside of Nigeria. Then, coupled with my passion for teaching and imparting knowledge, I also went into education. I've been working, with Saudi Digital Academy for the past 2 years, trying to of course, this is a region where games and technology have not been something that has been really accepted in the past. But over the past couple of years, there has been some sort of quantum transformation that has been going on in the region, and I'm glad that I've been a part of it, trying to mentor as many people as possible in the region, to have career transitions, because a lot of these people I've actually like studying in universities, and then coming out there, they do realize that their real passion is not in what they have studied, but more about what they have a passion for. And a lot of them really really have passion for gaming, so it wasn't difficult for a lot of them to make the career switch into game development. And yeah, I'm glad I've been a part of that. And also I co-founded Empower XR, which is based in the United States. Empower XR is basically an augmented reality safety training solution for folks in the manufacturing industries. So it's a fact that about 22 people, and this is this is also like based on latest research as well. In the past 4 or 5 years, about 22 people are actually lose their lives. Have fatal injuries from being complacent with operating machines in the manufacturing space. So, and working with my co-founder on this, I first started as a contractor on the project. When I looked at it, I was like, nah, this is a real pain point. This is a problem. And for every problem there are solutions. And in this age and time, seeing what people have been able to accomplish with interactive digital technologies, namely AR, VR, XR, and all of that. It was only obvious to us that we needed to create something that would add value and sort of help solve that problem. So basically, what we came up with was a product that
I think we'll go into that in the
yeah. Okay, yeah, for sure. But again, it's nice to meet everyone and be here on the show. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it. So we have Jacob. Jacob, could you please introduce yourself? You can unmute yourself. Okay, great. We can't hear you, Jacob. Okay, I think we'll come back to you in a bit. Moving on is Robbins. Can you unmute yourself, please? Okay, this is interesting. So we can hear you both, right? If you can just log off and join in again, it will be good, right? And just let me know when you're in the background. I'll just loop you guys in. So thank you so much, Joshua. Moving on, my next question for you basically is the gaming industry in Africa it's growing like at a rapid rate, and for us is seeing how we can plug in XR into it, right? I know you have that experience building XR content for clients, both enterprise and at scale, right? My question is, from your experience so far, how do you think creatives on the continent currently who are building gaming experiences can fuse XR into it?
Yeah, absolutely great question. Thank you for asking that. So your first question was, how Nigeria, how Africa basically is going to, be the, fastest growing, gaming economy in the world. And the truth is, currently we are already like in that path. We are currently in that path. So like there's a particular data analysis company called Newzoo that actually releases insights about the gaming industry in Africa. And basically I was reading something really interesting. Currently in Africa we have over like 186 million gamers in Africa, and looking at that number, it's absolutely mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. And um to be very honest, I feel like looking at that statistics, it's basically it's safe to say that we are like we are among the top economies, that is really really adopting the usage of game products. And that's something I believe that's something we can leverage on. That's something that's a market that is so saturated. One very important thing I'm going to say is that looking at the gaming industry in Africa, it's divided into three, in my own opinion. Right. So the first part is the consumers, of course. That's having 186 million people playing games and using game products out there. That's really really important. Then the second tier of people in that category are the game developers and the game studios, right? And that has been the most let me just say, that has not been equal to the amount of growth we have experienced. The growth there has not been equal to the amount of growth we've been experiencing in the usage of games, external games from outside of Africa. The third part is I would like to classify them as people that actually pay for games. Now, when I say this is because you cannot talk about the revolution of the gaming industry in Africa without talking about revenue, without talking about the money side of things. You know, Finances drive innovation, right? Finances drive innovation, and money is really really important when it comes to when it comes to actually scaling up things, especially gaming products. Games are very expensive to make, especially quality games. But it will shock you that about 63 million of that 183 million actually pay for games, right? They actually do pay for games, and I think I've gotten into this argument with someone before, saying that Africans don't actually pay for games. They don't actually, make transactions, inside of games. Africans really pay for games. So imagine having 63 million people paying for games that are, triple A games or what have you. Now that's a market we could capitalize on, and one of the things that has facilitated this this move is the fact that we are seeing a transition from regular payment systems to NFTs, and digital currencies, basically. And that has also like spiked up the amount of people who actually want to pay for games, because their NFTs and their digital currencies have utility that can be used inside of games and all of that. So I think that's a market that that is really, really booming, and we can actually take advantage of that. And I believe it's something, since the XR space and the gaming space are closely knitted together. I believe the XR space can actually leverage on that and begin to push in products that that are really, really that are related to XR into that space. And we can now like take the next couple of years to see how the adoption goes. So yeah, I think I'll let the others sort of speak now.
That's true. Thank you so much for your insights. Some amazing one, I must say. Robbins, let's give it a try again. Could you please introduce yourself so the audience can get to know you? Yes, we can still hear you. Oh, I guess the network are having a fun field day today. Okay, so just like I said, if possible, to restart your system or close any browsers you have currently and just rejoin, I would add you to the stream. So Joshua, back to you once more, I guess. My next question for you basically is your current startup, Empower XR, is providing interactive and also immersive augmented reality. I love the fact that you guys are focusing on a part of the XR medium that can really scale in terms of not being limited to hardware, maybe a VR headset, right?
Yeah.
And I'm glad you guys are focusing on augmented reality safety training solution for industry workers, right? To combat injuries and fatalities in the manufacturing industry. So my thought is, what does the future hold for your solution, especially in Africa?
Yeah, absolutely. So currently we are in the innovation phase. We're scaling up. It's really interesting to see how fast we have come. So far we did create an MVP, and that MVP, we're able to raise some funding. Now we're sort of in the phase where we are, like I said, innovating. And when I mean innovating, we are trying to leverage as much of the latest technology, seeing the market trends, leveraging latest technology so that we can retain competitive advantage. Right, because yes, of course we are not the only safety training solution that exists out there, but one of the major things, again, and I mean, I was on the previous sessions listening to what the speakers were saying, and again, I feel like it's not just a challenge in Africa, it's also a challenge globally. One of the major issues we have in the XR space is adoption, but one thing I've seen with innovation recently in this space is that it's becoming irresistible. When I say irresistible, the technology is becoming as as acceptable and as accessible as possible. With the introduction of WebAR, seeing how WebAR has evolved as well, seeing how much seeing how much a lot of people have jumped on that train. It's really, really important that we at Empower XR as well also, like, position ourselves, just so that and this is also for every XR business there that's looking to permeate the market, trying to innovate, trying to position ourselves, having strategic partnerships. We are also looking to move into like markets outside of the US, moving into the UK, and of course Africa as well eventually. But then it always starts with adoption. So we are in a phase where we are like innovating and trying to get people to be able to access the product, as much as possible. So yeah, cool.
Great, and I wish you guys the very best, especially raising.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Money is very important to build XR solution.
Absolutely.
So Robbins, I think we should give you a shot again.
Are you able to hear now?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Perfect. Yes. So Robin Skiama, I'm a multimedia producer and an AR/VR creative based in Nairobi, Kenya. Yes, that is me. Yes, and I focus on emerging tech solutions where I use my multimedia skills to convey compelling stories that can be used on the metaverse. That is what I also focus on AI as a tool to develop interactive artworks that also are integrated with AR, VR solutions. Yes.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us. I have a couple of questions for you regarding AI and also art, and I know it's very interesting for you also. Jacob, could you introduce yourself? Hi, Jacob, can you hear me? I think the networks are having a field day today. So moving on, Robbins. So I know you are a creative at heart, and you are doing amazing work with the fusion of AI and also arts, right? My question is, do you think emerging technologies can really change the way art is being created by creatives, or is this going to augment or transform their creative process?
Thank you. I think AI artwork using artificial intelligence for artworks is transforming the approach of storytelling, where we are not only limited on the hands-on or the creative mindset in terms of the physicality of doing the technique of doing an art, like painting or doing different levels of shading, and whatnot. I think it transforms people in a way to use their mind in what they perceive, and to use now artificial intelligence to relay what their mind is thinking about. So I think here in Africa, it's a very transformation view on this, because it's powerful to what it can do, and then the computer understands what you're thinking about. Yeah. So I think here in Africa we have so many creatives, and we are now not limited to use only the hands-on skills that we knew from a while back, but now using technology to convey your message just through text. Because how it works is the AI works on text prompt. It's prompt based. So whatever your thoughts are, whatever the style you want to achieve with it, for example, to say, like an avocado chair looking like a cartoon, something. You don't need to look all the tools to start doing the shades, to start doing the like to achieve a cartoon style. The computer does it for you. So it just needs your thoughts and your ideas to transform what you want it to tell the story on it. So I think it's gonna transform a lot, because when now you connect it, for example, in the metaverse, you can do a full gallery that expresses dimensions. Because if we have data of our, we picture this, we have data of our African history, our African heroes, what environment, or what role they played in that time, what was our environment, which animals are in different parts of Africa, To convey this in AI, it's so efficient that you're able to conceptualize something, and you can still adapt it with your own tools at the end of the day after making that artwork, and present something valuable to the world. So that means you can tell a lot of stories from social impact angles, educational angles, industrial perspectives, You can even have a future. You can even create an artwork of a future world where how does a ship look like in the cyberspace? You know, how does a car look in the future of maybe 2050? You know, so at the end of the day, it triggers your mind to see what really you can think about, and it's expressed to the most reality way as possible. And I think that's a very huge growth in Africa, because we have the chance to really tell our stories in all forms across Africa and understand each other's culture. Yeah.
That's really true. Just like you said, the technology is helping us to explore amazing thoughts and ideas and bring them into life quickly. And I believe in the coming years, we would have a lot of people that will be doing awesome stuff with AI, XR, and then any of the emerging technologies. Jacob, can you hear me? Sorry, I don't think I can hear you. I can't hear you. Just try and rejoin again, and I'll add you to the stream. Try as much as possible to close any browser you have open. That will be helpful. So let's move on to the next couple of questions. So my question for you, Joshua, is: we know there's a disparity between Unity and Unreal Engine, right? And I know people that want to get started with XR are forced to choose a single platform to get started with, right? So my question is: I know you got started with Unreal Engine, Unity. Sorry,
Unity, for sure.
Unity, right?
Yeah.
How easy for creatives to be able to switch from one platform to another?
Okay, great. Okay, so it'll be difficult for me to respond to this question if I have not like tasted two sides of the coin. I only got into Unreal Engine this year, to be fair, and Unreal Engine is something I've been, looking at from a distance, and this is basically because the community around Unreal Engine, the accessibility of it is not as as easy as that of Unity's. Unity basically, Unity basically is the most accessible game engine, if we're being fair, and but to be fair, both of them are really great game engines. But if you are trying to get into game development, I would suggest Unity. And this is also from my experience, because trying to get into game development is not as did not used to be as easy, but a lot of people embraced Unity. Unity has the track record. They have a lot of tool supports. They have active communities. A lot of current games that are in the market have their framework on Unity. You can easily find a Unity developer unlike an Unreal developer, right? So but of course, but I think this is also like changing for the Unreal ecosystem as well, developer ecosystem. I think Unreal is trying to be as accessible as they can too. They are trying to permeate the market. I've seen a couple of XR developers who who face who are using like Unreal as their primary development tool. And I feel like it's if you're trying to get into that space, you need to do a lot of research. You need to know what worked for you, what you're targeting, but if games is your like entry point into XR, or like I did, because I started with games and moved into XR, it actually helps you, starting from games moving into XR. It helps you. But if that's what you want to do, then I suggest Unity, because there's a lot of tools, there's a lot of tutorials. You can easily reach out to people and get help in that regards. There are a lot of communities that I know personally, where I could just wake up in the middle of the night and just text, oh, I have this error, I have this issue, and then there's like a lot of response. People will willingly take up your your issue and try to solve that for you. So I think yeah, Unity for me stands out over Unreal, even though Unreal is a pretty cool engine. Yeah.
Unreal is actually amazing, but
yeah,
it is.
is.
Our good creatives is start with the one that is easy to deploy, right?
Yeah.
You don't need too much hardware or a very fast processing system to be able
Yeah.
to create content with. But my engagement so far is anybody that is good with Unity can pick up Unreal Engine very
Yes,
quickly.
you do.
Uh,
Yes, you
so
can. Especially if you are good with like node-based systems.
yeah,
It's so easy for you to pick up Unreal because I mean, one of the main things that helped me to transition into Unreal was my use of the shader graph inside of Unity. Understanding how visual scripting and shader graphs, or basically any node-based system, once you have a basic understanding of that, switching over to Unreal is going to be pretty easy for you because I mean there's the blueprints that actually helps you to get started in as little as no time. So yeah, for sure.
great. Thank you so much. Jacob, I hope we can get you now. Can you hear us?
I hope so too. Can you
Yes,
hear
we
me
do.
now?
Finally.
Great.
Ah,
I can imagine. So thank you for
it's
joining us.
frustrating. So
I
this
can
is just
imagine. Yeah.
one
So
of those things that really show that we have a lot to do. Broadband networks in Africa have a long way to go if we really need to, if we are to really have proper access to this technology. Um, but yes, I'm happy to finally be here with these amazing gentlemen I'm seeing. I've been hearing a lot of things from Joshua and from my man just next door from Kenya. I'm really happy to finally speak to you. My name is Jacob Mwesigwa. I am the founder of Wally Visual, where we practically make extended reality, virtual and augmented reality for education and business. Um, uh, Starting out, I think maybe Ibrahim, you can have if you have any
Yeah, I have
protocol for me to follow.
a couple of questions for you. So my question basically is, how did you get started with XR, and also building a startup around it? What was the journey like?
Oh, my journey in XR honestly has been one funded by my professional background. I started out as an architect. I was working for when I graduated, one of my lecturers took me in and was training me how to be an architect. Later on, I found a passion in. I fell upon Unity 3D, and like Joshua said, it was really easy to pick up. So I started putting in different, instead of using the architectural softwares that we had at the time, I used Unity instead. And then later on, I found Unreal, which for me I saw was the best route to go for visual impact. Unreal Engine gave us really a good visual imprint on in architectural visualization. So we picked out from that. Basically, Unity was extremely easy for me to learn, especially with C Sharp. It was easy to implement so many useful code that would run the smallest of items. So many tutorials were out there. Same with Unreal. So it, the abundance of knowledge on the internet is what really helped me be able to become the XR developer I am, because uh, the internet, it has very many friendly people out there that are always willing to reach out and help. So I think to me that is the biggest step. Now, right now, I practically teach my own workmates we have. But we also do international collaborations with a few people who are well placed in the games industry. So it's about building yourself so you can help build other people. Um, so in a way, it is one step at a time, where you, instead of building a very large scale of people, you have you, you train them yourself. So later on, we discovered that in education more so, there was a gap where we needed to fill in and be able to help students be able to reimagine how they study. And so our approach became game-based learning, where we help children learn through playing games. These games are centered into visual interpretation of what they actually trying to learn. One of the prime examples being the human body, which is almost the most basic of things. So what we did was we started out with augmented reality that helped us tell the story on how the human body works and how the skeleton actually looks like, rather than just looking at the pictures in the book, in the textbooks you use to study. You use the application to play a game that teaches you how the human body actually looks like. So it's basically all centering around game-based learning, especially for early childhood development. And we also see the advantage of such a method in higher institutions of learning, where right now we are working with a few student volunteers to see how we can enhance their architectural studies through playing a game that also as well helps you see how the actual scale of things looks like without you actually constructing it. Uh, how you can visit a place that you're not really able to visit. For example, in architecture school, they study a lot about Romanian architecture. And so what we are trying to do is that we send them to Romania or any part of the country, especially when we are doing rural settlements in the country. They can't really travel that much, so we try to bring these places to them in their own classrooms, and they can play around whilst investigating different things, learning how the Corinthian columns look like in back then, other than just looking at pictures. So basically, that's how we are trying to use XR, and yeah, I'm really happy to be amongst all these individuals that have also gone through some of the same things, because augmented my friend from Kenya was talking about AI and how it is using it, and what we see here is that artificial intelligence is giving us the capacity to record how these students perform during these games and be able to help them understand where they need to improve, what they need to do better, whilst encouraging them to keep studying, because sometimes students lose the interest in studying something because it's too hard. So when our vision is that when the AI picks up loss of interest, it starts to nudge you to do something different, and so the convergence of extended reality and all this artificial intelligence is really coming in handy for what we are trying to do.
Amazing work. I really appreciate what you guys are doing. Keep it up. So, Robbins, I have a question for you too, actually. My first question is, I know you have been playing around digital avatars and also fashion and metaverse, right? So the first question is, how do you think the metaverse or XR can help support fashion creatives on the continent to transition to the digital era?
Okay. So the metaverse by itself has been a very complicated topic for just a normal person. You know, us as creatives, when we hear the metaverse, it's just like meta, But for a normal person, it's very, it's very complicated, yeah. So for me, I was like, how do I explain the metaverse in a nutshell? So like, so it comes in very ways. It comes through virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality. So I had to start slowly, even a 360 video. In fact, I started with a 360 video to introduce people to the metaverse will look like. Yeah. So coming from my multimedia journey, I used to live stream a lot of concerts back here in Nairobi, yeah? And so I used to live stream some in 2D and some in 360. And I cardboards, these Google cardboards where you just put a phone in and you get to be immersed, you know, through YouTube 360. So that was my beginning to tell somebody how a metaverse feels, you know, just through a 360 video. But now when the metaverse started becoming more intelligent and more open, you know, for many creatives to join in and stuff, I used augmented reality through artworks. And I did like a curation where I filmed the story of the curator. Then each piece of the artwork told a video story. There was like a video playback and some was like 3 model showcase. So that was now my next thing, because I had now to combine them and see how does a real artwork express its story by its own. The curator doesn't need to be there. It's just the audience just need to enjoy the art and feel the story of a certain collection. So that was my journey to see how the whole could be like. And then the metaverse now really grew. I focus now on fashion and AI artworks. Yeah. So now fashion in terms of how to put in a fashion in 3D, you know, because 3D model you can have the textures and you can feel the, you know, the look of a certain clothing line, and how will it relate to somebody in a very impactful way. At the end of the day, storytelling. That's what came to my mind, how to tell the story in the metaverse, you know. So using these avatars, there was this thing, or it's already Player Me. There's a way like you can integrate avatars, and like even like Adidas partnered with them to, you know, put in their avatars in a very engaging and realistic way, you know. So how to use these avatars to make your world, your dream come true. That was now where I ventured next, because it's all about curation, you know, how to curate just like a fashion, a VR gallery with a fashion idealism inside it, you know. So that was the key, and that is my journey, how to connect your real self and have an avatar of yourself and express the same you in another world and still connect and grow, you know. So this is a journey that is very on storyline and knowing what you really need to achieve in order to make it really like strong and valid for somebody who does not know, because at the end of the day we are evangelists in this ecosystem, you know? So I don't metaverse a very complicated scenario for many people. I want them to understand their value in how they can be, you know, yeah, just through a click of a link and you get to experience something, you know, and a version of you is inside there and you're able to interact and look the way you feel like looking, you know, you're not limited to your looks or anything, you know. So it creates there's no cultural barrier. Actually, it creates a very cross-cultural integration where there's a oneness, there's an element of oneness in that dimension, and that's my journey to make it stronger. And AI artworks is something that inspires me a lot, because anybody can use a text prompt to create their own art. Yeah, and the metaverse, there are so many metaverse platforms right now that anybody can sign up, you know, from Sandbox to Spatial VR to there are so many, you know. So apart from developing using Unity and the likes, yeah, and creating solutions, that is a good angle to create on the education and the social impact, and you know, and maybe industrial companies. But at the end of the day, to reach a normal person, they need to know even themselves can be on the metaverse, yeah. So, and they can build something inside the metaverse with the tools, with no code, with, you know, purely you entering with your internet, with your computer, you know, and you're able to do everything, you know, and you're able to take somebody even through a VR just because you have created something on a platform that is there. So I am really inspiring also the young creatives here to use what they have so that they're able to focus on the story, because sometimes we focus so much on the technical angle that we miss the story. But now, since the metaverse, we have platforms and we have everything that we need. Now, let's inspire the upcoming people who want to join in, that they also have a space to create their narrative, and they can be guided through us who understand this tech to make it stronger. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing that. Really give some key insight on how we can break down the metaverse to the barest minimum for people that are not too technical to learn about it. So I'll be going around like a final round of questions actually, so we can wrap up the session. For Joshua, my question for you is: so imagine somebody in the audience is looking at you currently, and they
Yeah.
are doing what you are doing, right?
Yeah.
But they're like, how can they really get started building games the right way, right? Since you have already gone through that experience building from scratch, what is your thoughts or guidance on how to go into gaming the right way?
Okay. Okay. So I think the first thing I'll say is just get started. Get started. It doesn't matter what constraints you have. It doesn't matter, how difficult it is. It's so easy to get started nowadays as compared to back then. I think, and this is one of the reasons why I also spoke about Unity games development. Unity can basically run on any decent computer. Just get started. But one of the one of the major pitfalls that you could get into is getting distracted and not excuse me, and not having like a linear learning path. That could really that could really disrupt your growth process. So one of the things I would say is get started however it is, because of course this is assuming that you have the passion for it, because you know a lot of these things we're talking about would be nothing without the passion first as the background. So of course having a passion for games and playing games, and also like on wanting curiosity for wanting to know how things work basically. So get started. If when you get started and you do realize how much you are in sync with it, then look for a structured learning path and stick to it, follow it. Don't try to, because I know one of the most daunting things about game development is once you get into game development, you do realize that there's a lot of sections, there's a lot of parts to it, there's a lot of technical know-how that comes into play. You need to learn a lot of things, understanding physics, understanding animation, understanding how things work, basically things you could put together to actually make any game look like a game. So just get started and follow a linear learning path and stick to it. Don't be in a hurry. So yeah, that's my advice.
Do you have any specific learning resources they can maybe jump on?
Yeah, absolutely. There's the Unity learning pathway. I always recommend this for everyone getting started in Unity. There are also communities that you can join that have some of these resources, and these are resources made by people here in Africa as well. I'm also working on something that's like a resource for game developers, so that anyone that wants to really get started can actually just jump on that, and get started. Definitely. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Joshua. If anybody's interested in learning more, they can just reach out to you on LinkedIn. I think you'll be very receptive on that platform. Thank you for all you do, man. I really appreciate it. So Robbins, I know you are into the multimedia space, and we have a lot of creatives on the continent already doing multimedia. Right? So what do you think can be done for them to easily onboard XR or emerging tech into their service offering or their content production timelines?
Okay, thank you. I would want actually also to, on that question, it connects very well on what my friend Joshua was saying about the resources that are available to learn and grow. Because at the end of the day, there are key resources like in YouTube, in platforms like Udemy, you know, and others, like so many courses where creatives have done their part to show you what are the best tools you can integrate to make your work seamless. Because the struggle sometimes with creatives is coding, you know, like they don't get the best developers to achieve their narratives, you know, because they're on the storyline, but they don't have the backbone of how to achieve it. Yeah, so getting handful resources can really help to know that there are platforms that you don't need to code from the scratch. You just need to bring in your creativity as a multimedia, producer, and use the platforms to take your work to the next level. You know, yeah, there are platforms like Special VR. There is there's so many. There's Nemesis, you know, Sandbox. They can go and see what they do, you know, because at the end of the day, if you're able to understand how to exist inside the metaverse, you're able to do your research and know that there are people that they have done their work for you to build your backbone for you putting your content through that the XR can do its purpose, you know. So that is the advice I can say, because there's so many resources online and they can do their part to just take that time to learn how they can seamlessly integrate their work to a no-code platform, yeah, from where they can begin, you know. And from there, whatever product they get to achieve, it can scale, and they can have people who want to support them now, who are true developers, maybe now to customize their products to a very strong dimension. But it needs to start from somewhere, because if we want to build a huge building, we don't start with the pillars, yeah, we start with the foundation. Yeah, so if they get to understand where the foundation is in this XR platform, then they're able to apply what they have as storytellers in that domain. Yeah.
Great, thank you so much. The last thought on foundation is very important. I know it can be a lot like even from scratch, getting distracted, and just not like focusing on your end goal. But my advice for any creative or developer out there is to first of all have a purpose on why you are building with that technology, the impact you want to make. Right? It's not about the money; it's about the impact first, and the money will come through. Right? The money, the popularity, the fame will all come true if you have a why and a purpose, right? So everybody on this call has a purpose on why they are going into XR or why they are building games or building immersive experiences. Is to make impact, right, and to create experiences that can showcase Africa in a more engaging or a more better light. The comment section so far has been amazing. We have Ede from I guess basically from Nigeria. So he's saying he's a civil engineering graduate currently doing his NYSC, which is more like a service here in Nigeria. And he said he's currently learning AR using Unity. So I think, Joshua, a lot of people jump into the XR scene or the XR development space through Unity before they can now step up their games with the Unreal Engine. Next up is we have a comment also from Fire Whiskey. He's also saying it's nice to meet you all. I'm doing data science, and as you have a soft spot for AR and VR. So even in data science, you can soon adopt XR, right? It's not an issue. It's just find the use case that works, right? And build experiences or solutions around it. And also, another comment from Ede is encouraged by our stories on starting basically our foundation with the industry, and he believes it's possible for him to also build a future in the XR space. It's very possible. It's just for you to find a purpose, a why, and surround yourself with learning resources and also stay focused during your journey. And next up is John Adler. He's also sharing a comment on basically thanking every one of us and sharing that he learned a lot during this session. Thank you so much for your feedback on that. So before round up, Joshua, I would love for you to, Jacob, sorry. I would love for you to give us your thoughts on what's the best learning resources or the right methods for creatives who want to get started with XR to jump on.
I also want to say the manufacturers of the software themselves put out the best material to learn. Unreal Engine has done a lot to put so many samples out there. They've put tutorials. There's Unreal Engine learners, the learners group online. Then also Unity has a learners group. I mean, Unity actually has a whole learning section centered around just VR and AR, and they can even do much more than just VR and AR. There's also what we call MR, that is mixed reality, and they have also so many resources on that. But for the simple start out, I would say if you want to do simple augmentations, you can start with Spark AR. It is extremely easy. You can deploy very fast to Instagram. There is Snapchat. They also have tutorials on YouTube. Use YouTube like your everyday Bible, because just one word can get you so many resources to learn. So it's primarily my two main sources would be YouTube for everything. You just do, if you have an error you're trying to find in your code, there is always someone who experienced it already, and you just need to type in and be articulate that code error function this and that. You'll find an easy fix, an easy tutorial on YouTube. And then you have the manufacturers of the software themselves. Unreal Engine Learners Group is there. Unity Learn is there. But also there are paid versions of these softwares, the tutorials out there. They offer some of the best content I have seen. Much as we know that free items do get you somewhere, but if when you want to go a mile further, you should try and invest in buying these actually tailored tutorials that and lessons that are geared towards helping you understand what exactly you're doing, because Unity will give you the basic flesh, but when you dive in deeper into coding, you start knowing that I need to know what coroutine functions are. I need to know how to call out a string. Blueprinting systems are easy to learn, but still you also have to understand what blueprints are in Unreal Engine. So investing in learning these items is the path to go. But if you lack the resources to invest, please go to YouTube and Google a lot. Google has all your answers, and you can find almost everything. You can also reach out to us. We have some materials that we do use to teach a lot of people, and I'm sure they would be able to help. If you go to our YouTube page, you can see some of our work that we've done, and we try to list down the things that we used during these things. And also if you're a generalist, I guess, because this being a new technology, there's so much you need to do. In order to make 3D models, you have to learn how to use Blender. So you can do your models. Then after Blender, you have to know how to texture these items. So you have to learn texturing software. And after learning how to texture, you need to learn how to rig. So it's a whole pipeline. It's not just doing something in XR. But I believe it is a very doable item because the panelists over here have done it, and with minimum resources, I might add. So yes, Google, YouTube, and the learning platforms for the softwares, Unreal Engine, Unity 3D, Spark AR, Snapchat also has its own software that they use. And then also the open source softwares like Ready Player Me, when they are creating their avatar systems, they have tutorials on how to use their characters. So it is important to also put in your own effort other than just what you have, because the tutorial will take you only so far. But if you want to go the next mile, you have to also put in the effort to look for a solution to what you're trying to make and make it happen. And I believe you'll be able to get it right.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Jacob. Subscribe to YouTube University, and your journey will begin in full force. Because I know everybody on this course started from YouTube. Sorry, everybody started their journey from YouTube. And I also want to thank those amazing creators that shared their thoughts, shared their resources openly, freely, and helping inspire people across the globe to get started with XR and build some amazing experiences with it. And I can't thank you guys enough for joining this session, sharing your journey, your thoughts, your project. It's super impactful and super amazing. And I know the future is bright, actually. XR in Africa, though might be slow, right? But it's going to pick up so fast. We already have big companies investing in it, right? And that will be able to provide a lot of funds for startups and initiatives to get started with it. But what I just want to say is it might be a lot right now, building it with the tech, but we just need to keep at it, right? Keep it pushing. For example, Joshua is already raising funds with his own startup, right? If he gave up one morning or one day, he wouldn't be here, right? But he kept pushing, he believed in himself, and he's doing an amazing work teaching game development and also building XR experiences. So thank you so much, Jacob, for what you're doing also. And Robbins, thank you so much for your contributions. You're really inspired. Your content are really inspiring, and I must say, keep at it, right? Especially in Eastern Africa. XR is not that loud there, but with you guys there, we know that the future is indeed bright. So we'll do this again next year, hopefully, and I believe we'll have like a larger audience and a more interactive engagement during that period. For everyone that joined us, thank you so much for your questions. Thank you for your feedback on our session. I can't wait to do this with you all next year.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of
Thank
your
you.
day. Yeah, bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you very much.
See ya.